All right, here's a question. Which social class do you fit in? Well, this got serious for a second, didn't it? Well, whatever your answer, you probably got it wrong. It's according to the latest International Social Survey Program study. It's found that whites, coloureds and Indians place themselves in higher classes, while black population members categorise themselves lower than they actually are. So why is this an important discussion to have? Well, let's find out. Johann Kirsten from the UJ School of Economics. Johann, hello to you, and help me understand, why are we having research like this? What's the relevance of it? You're at the School of Economics, so I'm sure there's an economic trigger somewhere. Help me understand.
Yes. So just to give a bit of context behind this, so South Africa has been struggling with high inequality, rising inequality since 1994. And also we have a struggling middle class. And with this struggling middle class, we see there's still a strong perception for people to place themselves in the middle of society. And then there really becomes an issue about class versus status and whether your class and your status actually aligns. And this is actually very important for economists also to understand, because it actually helps us understand the subjective perceptions behind people and not just looking at the economy from an objective point of view, like the normal measures like the Gini coefficient, but actually from perceived inequality and how people view these social issues.
Oh, this is what I find so interesting. Normally when we talk about economics, we go very objective. We have facts, we have figures, we have data points that we'll point to. So why bring in the social aspect of this? As you were saying, perception. How does the perception of oneself reflect in either micro or macroeconomics?
Yes, so it's quite interesting. There's a lot of theory behind it about how your subjective self actually is a driving force for how you demand redistribution, your political attitudes, your voting behavior. And there's a large field that actually explores how these subjective perceptions about inequality and your own position in society actually drives your perceptions about class conflict, social unrest, whether you take action on social unrest or whether you demand more or less redistribution, which are vital political components to understand for policymakers and economists.
So then take me through some of the findings, the headline findings. I touched on it very, very briefly as well, mentioning the different races, but just take me through the headline findings from this.
Yes, so the headline findings here really is that we find that these biased perceptions, now biased perceptions is how your status deviates from your actual class position, your subjective status position actually deviates, and we find that so black Africans actually view themselves or inflate their social position compared to other groups that maybe deflate their social position, meaning they place themselves sometimes higher up than what they should, they place themselves lower up than what they should, and that's the main findings here. And the reference groups that people compare themselves to here is vital, because people compare themselves to different reference groups. So I would compare myself to people living around me, and there I might have a misrepresentation of where I actually am in society.
And I'll leave this as a last question then, just as I try and understand the context of where this fits exactly. Would this be a study under micro or macroeconomics going forward? What would be more relevant in a case like this?
This is for microeconomics, so this is mostly for microeconomics.
And help me understand what would be the outcome of this for, say, for example, a pupil studying the social effects of microeconomics based on our racial dispensation.
It will really give us a clearer background on, well, the study needs further interpretation and further development, but we need to really go into detail on who do we compare ourselves to when we make these social comparisons, because that's the main driving force behind us making or placing ourselves in society, is we compare ourselves according to different people. And who do we compare ourselves to? Do we compare ourselves to different people in different race groups? Do we compare ourselves to people in the same race group? So that is really where the study needs to explore and further explore the development to answer more questions, because I think this study just tapped into the issue, and I think there needs to be more further exploring on this issue.
It's been tapped into, and now hopefully the tap gets opened wide as well. And I appreciate your time helping me understand why this is so important. It's actually fascinating when you try and understand how it all works and ties in from a socio perspective into economics. My thanks to Johann Kirsten from UJ School of Economics.